Ladies and gentlemen, it's 7:30, and we welcome you to our American Fork City Council meeting this November 8th. We would ask you to maybe squeeze into the middle so we have plenty of seating for all those coming. Just pretty barren tonight. Would like to excuse our mayor. He is under doctor's orders to stay home tonight and to elevate his foot. So I asked him what he would have me say, and that's exactly what he said. So anyway, we'd like to just recognize we have an agenda that's on the back desk. If you'd like a copy, feel free to grab one. We will follow that agenda as outlined. It has been posted in many places in the city. And we will begin with a Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer from our Finance Director, Trevor Coombs, after which I'll conduct a roll call. If you please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we are grateful for this opportunity we have to meet as citizens and council this evening. We give thanks for this great country which we have an opportunity to live in and be a part of. We're grateful for those that have volunteered to serve in our community as council and mayors. Bless them and their families. Please be with our mayor as he's going through these medical challenges, that he will be blessed if it be thy will. Bless us with moisture to fill our mountains and fill our streams and reservoirs, that we may have water going forward into the future. Please be with the council and the mayors as they fulfill their fiduciary duties to keep the citizens of this great community in mind as they make the important decisions going forward this evening and in the future. Please bless this nation, that we may be mindful of thee, and we are grateful for all thou hast blessed us with. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Trevor. Now we'll conduct the roll call. Councilman Barnes.
Present.
Councilman Bowen.
Present.
Councilman Shelton.
Here.
Councilman Shorter.
Here.
And I am Councilman Frost. I am the mayor pro tem, and I just, as by way of information, and as such, I do have a vote tonight as a council member, so you know. We will now have a minute for our 20-minute public comment period. If anybody would like to come forward to the microphone and address the council, key staff, for any purpose at all, the microphone is open, and we'd welcome you to come forward. Seeing none, we will move on to our council reports concerning committee assignments. And we'll start on my right with Councilman Barnes.
I'm trying to figure out a way to make a joke about people being here instead of being home watching election returns, but nothing's coming to mind. I hope this is more interesting than those are. They'll be less controversial, I think, for sure. Big thing this week is Veterans Day program. Will be November the 11th, which is Friday. It will be, as always, at 11 a.m. The committee that's in charge of that has planned a wonderful program. We're going to have some good speakers. The speakers from the recent Mary Kawakami, I hope I said that correctly, speech contest. We've got a general from the Utah National Guard, and we've got some great singers from the high school, and our local VFW will be participating, as well as some National Guard members. So it's a great program every year, lasts about an hour. Encourage everybody to get out and enjoy that. Quickly wanted to report on a couple of things that Parks and Recreation are doing, just a little bit of an update. The restroom was installed over at Evergreen Park roughly a month or so ago. I don't think it's been quite that long. But they installed it and then locked it up for the winter. So hopefully it'll weather well and be in good shape next spring. There's one other one going in. It isn't quite done yet, but we'll have the two of those from the park tax money. Fitness center, if you haven't been by, huge improvement with the parking lot. Looks really good, and the city employees did a big portion of that work and did a great job on it. It's pretty well all functional now, and not near as many people parking in the road, so we're happy to have that. Behind us again, that's park tax money. Boat Harbor, they're working on the serious planning for the master plan of the Boat Harbor. Start some work hopefully after the first of the year and do some major improvement for that next spring. Again, park tax money being used for that. And then the Art Dye Park complex they're working on, that is being worked on. There have been a couple of 3 different plans that have been presented of different layouts of how they want it to go. They're trying to get some feedback on that, different placement of parks and a couple of things. That the overall plan's basically the same, but some minor differences between those. So with, again, park tax money is very involved in all of and that one as well as all of them. And basically, that's my report.
Thank you, Councilman Barnes. Councilman Bowen.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to note it is election night, as everyone knows, but I wanted to take the opportunity to say that I'm thankful for the system of government that we have, our representative democracy and republic, if you will. Our form of government's a republic, but it's representative and democratic in that our representatives are elected. But I just, with all the differences of opinion that people have, and with all the concerns that myself and others might have about what goes on in government at all levels, I just wanted to state that I think we have a great system, even though it might, at times not provide the outcomes we want. We've been able to preserve our freedom over many years, and I hope that we'll continue to be able to preserve it over many years, and I'm thankful that we have self-government. And that is my report.
Thank you, Councilman Bowen. Councilman Shelton.
I had the opportunity last week to attend the Chamber of Commerce retreat. They do an annual retreat to talk about things that are coming up in the upcoming year and put together a good plan. Really excited about that. We've got some great representation from the city and different departments that want to be involved, and so I'll be liaison with them as well, and how they can be able to get involved with the chamber. So we're pretty excited about having some good representation from the city, be involved with our business community. Also had the trick or treat on Main that the chamber did this last week, being Halloween, just over a week ago. And that's a great success. Really want to thank the public safety for coming out and helping out and putting on that event, as we have hundreds and probably even thousands of kids that come down on Main Street and visit downtown businesses and have an opportunity to give them some exposure as well. That's my report.
Thank you, Councilman Shelton. Councilman Shorter.
Thank you. Just the Arts Board met Monday. I was unable to attend. It was an early meeting. But the American Fork Children's Choir, the American Fork Symphony, and the Timpanogos Chorale have a lot of activities coming up in December, so watch those on your calendar. They're great events to attend. I know the Symphony is going to be doing a Christmas program with a lot of varied music, so it'll be a great program. And the Visual Art Board for the young people is through November. So again, if you have any interest in that, be sure and contact the Arts Council. Park Tax, again, is responsible for a lot of the good works that are doing there in that group, becoming independent from the city, and so we appreciate that. And that's all. That's my report.
Thank you, Councilman Shorter. I think everything that I might have mentioned tonight has already been said, so I echo what's been said, and especially if I might just express a gratitude personally to our staff. All these wonderful things that you've seen happen. It's especially our road department with the expansion of the parking lot. I think that is just a jewel, something that has been very needful. Of course, before that had to happen, we had to move horseshoe pits, which the Parks Department was heavily involved in, but I just couldn't say enough about our city staff and the quality of work and their dedication to this city. So thank you. All right. Before we move on to the common consent agenda, I just wanted to make everybody aware of the American Fork City Council has packets. Those packets are available online almost a week prior, between Wednesday or Thursday prior to the night. So you need to know that this council has had plenty of time for review and to provide us with a lot of information. That information is available to anybody who wants to see it online as well. So, moving on to the common consent agenda, it has 3 items. First item being that of an approval of the October 2016 work session minutes. Number 2, approval of the October 25th, 2016 City Council minutes. And number 3, approval of city bills for payment, October 23rd, 2016 to November 8th, 2016. Manually prepared checks and purchase requests over $25,000. Do I have a motion to approve the common consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Shorter. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second. We will do a roll call vote. Councilman Barnes,
Yes.
Councilman Bowen,
No?
Councilman Shelton,
Aye.
Councilman Shorter,
Aye.
and Councilman Frost is an aye. Common consent agenda is passed. We have 5 action items, and so we'll move right on to those items. First of all being a review and action on appointment to citizens committee and boards. And this one would be the library board, a name turned in for somebody that we know very well, Mrs. Barbara Christiansen, to serve to November 2017. And I was made aware of it that she is not here. We're used to her sitting in the front row taking notes on everything we say. And she was a former writer for the Daily Herald. But she is currently in a far better place, and that would be Hawaii. So, do I have a motion to approve Barbara Christiansen to serve on the library board?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Shorter. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. We'll now do a roll call vote. Councilman Barnes,
Aye.
Councilman Bowen,
Yes.
Councilman Shelton,
Aye.
Councilman Shorter,
Aye.
and Councilman Frost is aye. Unanimous vote. Action item number 2, review and action on a Type 1 Diabetes Awareness Week proclamation. As I read through our packet, I noticed that there was a young lady by the name of Sydney Glass who has kind of started this movement. Sydney's story is one of that she is a diabetic, and she has coalesced communities around to bring awareness to this. So I'm going to read this proclamation word for word. In recognition of Type 1 Diabetes Awareness Week, whereas Type 1 diabetes affects 3 million people in the United States and is an autoimmune disease in which a person's pancreas stops producing insulin, a hormone that enables people to get energy from food. It occurs when the body's immune system attacks and destroys the insulin-producing cells in the pancreas, called beta cells. And whereas 40,000 young children and adults are diagnosed with this disease every year in the United States, which is approximately 110 people every day. The incidence of type 1 diabetes is estimated to increase by 3% annually worldwide. And type 1 diabetes occurs for over 14.9 billion in healthcare costs in the United States each year. And whereas there is no way to prevent this disease, there is no cure, and this disease has nothing to do with diet and lifestyle. And whereas type 1-2 diabetes strikes at any age, develops suddenly, and in some cases without symptoms, it causes dependence on injected insulin for the rest of that person's life, and carries the constant threat of devastating complications, either when blood sugar is too low or too high, making continually monitoring of a person's blood sugar mandatory. And whereas since living with type 1 diabetes is a constant challenge, people must carefully balance their insulin intake either by injection or continuous infusion by an insulin pump anytime they are going to eat or drink, exercise, or experience stressful situation. And whereas with type 1 diabetes, monitor their blood sugar by pricking their finger multiple times a day, but still risk dangerous highs or lows, forcing people with type 1 diabetes to overcome challenges on a daily and even hourly basis. And whereas where insulin injection with a shot or pump allow a person with type 1 diabetes to stay alive, they are not a cure and may not prevent the possibility of such complications as blindness, amputation, stroke, heart attack, and kidney failure. And whereas people with type 1 diabetes are tirelessly raising awareness about diabetes and advocating for research dollars, as evidenced by Sidney Glass as the founder of the Glass Sneaker, and increase in community awareness would create a better future for people with type 1 diabetes through support, research, diagnosis, and treatment. Now, therefore, I, Brad Frost, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of American Fork, Utah, do hereby proclaim November 4th through November 18th, 2016 as Type 1 Diabetes Awareness Week. In the 14th through the 18th as Diabetes Type 1 Awareness Week. In the City of American Fork, Utah, I encourage all citizens to help fight this disease at its deadly complications by increasing awareness of the risk factors and by providing support for those suffering from type 1 diabetes. Dated this 8th day of November 2016. Do I have a motion to approve this proclamation?
I'll make a motion to approve the Type 1 Diabetes Awareness Week proclamation.
Thank you, Councilman Shelton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Shorter. On the second, we'll have a roll call vote. Councilman Barnes?
Aye.
Councilman Bowen?
Yes.
Councilman Shelton?
Aye.
Councilman Shorter?
Aye.
Councilman Frost is aye. Thank you. Would like to meet this Sidney Glass someday. All right. All right, on our third action item is a review and action on an agreement for the Bennett annexation consisting of 23.57 acres located at 80 North and 1020 West. And might have Adam just come forward and just give us a little introduction to this.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This is the annexation agreement for the Bennett annexation. As stated in the cover sheet, it's a little over 23.5 acres, the majority of that being UDOT right-of-way along I-15. The property on your screen that you're seeing, the Bennett property itself, is just a little over 3 acres. So as part of this annexation, the proposed zone designation is GC2, which is a planned commercial. You can see the concept plan envisions 2 hotel structures and a restaurant. So upon the completion of the annexation, we would expect to see a site plan similar to what's before you come forward and develop that corner. This went to the Planning Commission and received a positive recommendation and is now before you.
Thank you. All right. Any questions for Adam?
Adam, as we look at this, the Meadows connector, is that the right word we're using, or
Yeah,
does that touch this property at all?
It does.
Right
It's
away
on.
that we need to have?
Yeah, it's on the west side. The prospective purchasers have worked with city engineering to secure adequate right-of-way for that. And so as you can see here, the hotel structures can still work. The northern structure is a little offset to the east than the southern structure, and so it's the feeling of the engineering division that this can still work just fine with the right-of-way that we will receive and be able to move forward.
Thank you.
All right.
The one thing that was brought up to me is just, and I think this is more for information than anything else, just as that flyover gets done in the future, as this gets built, the concern about the elevation that the Planning Commission had to make sure that everything matches up right. And I'm just saying this to make sure that it's public knowledge and public record.
Yeah, and
that has to be,
it's a valid concern,
that
and it
attention
was
has to be paid to it. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying we shouldn't do it or anything, just to
No.
make sure everybody's aware of it.
the concern's a valid concern, and it actually went to the Planning Commission twice. One of the reasons was because of this. The first concept plan that the Planning Commission looked at, it was a slightly different layout, and so they went back and kind of looked again at, you know, the elevation and, you know, what the wall or whatever the slope might need to be in the future, and came back with this after working with engineering. So staff feels pretty confident that this can work, even with the proposed grades and whatnot. So
Even though we don't know where the flyover will be ultimately exactly. And
it's
the slopes,
pretty much-
there's still some stuff out there,
there may be
but not much.
slight variations, but not much. I mean, this is pretty solid. Yeah.
I'd move to approve the agreement for the Bennett annexation consisting of 23.57 acres located at 80 North, 1020 West.
Thank you, Councilman Shorter, for that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilman Shelton. We will go to a roll call vote.
Actually, I had a little more discussion on that, if I could.
Sure.
Just, are the petitioners here? So you're supportive of this annexation, you've requested it?
Correct.
Okay, great. And are you the property owners or represent the property owners?
Represent the purchase contract, the purchasers.
Okay. The owners are selling it to a developer to develop, and you represent the developer?
Correct.
Okay, great. And,
I represent Ms. Bennett.
oh, okay, so you represent the property owner. I just wanted to make sure they're in favor of this annexation. I figured they were, having seen the petition to be annexed into the city. And I'm supportive of your petition to annex. I think it's great. I did have just a couple of questions. On the height of the hotel, there's this proposed flyover, $50 million bridge over the freeway to connect the Meadows to the Front Runner station. But if that were to happen, would your hotel kind of be below the height of that flyover?
Sorry. I'm going to have you just state your name, if you would. and-
Jamie Kent.
Thank you.
It's a good question. I don't know the answer. I represent as a real estate agent, and so I'm not familiar with the construction of the hotels, but they are from a line of hotels called Choice Hotels, Comfort Inn, Quality Inn, and I don't know if these are concepts, and so as far as height and everything goes, we're still have to deal with all that in planning, but we're. Go ahead.
The reason I ask is just, so I've talked to the property owners across the street, and there's currently the Value Hotel there, and apparently there's, as property owners, they see a lot of nefarious activities going on there, and I'm just hopeful that the addition of your hotels will take the area up a notch rather than the same or down a notch. And if that flyover does go in and the height of your hotel is below the flyover, I could see it becoming kind of more of a blighted area. Whereas if the height of your hotel is higher than the flyover, so that people potentially have a view and it doesn't look like it's down in this pit, I think your hotel would hold its value better. I do see a lot of growth in this area long term, and so I think the demand would be there. But anyway, again, I'm supportive of your right, or the owners and the developers' right to contract and develop this parcel, but I didn't think it was a fair question. And I just wanted to get the police chief's input on it too. I've heard that with that value in, there's, I've heard lots of drug paraphernalia being found there, that the cops are over there a lot, that there's other nefarious activities going on. Do you have any concerns with this or any input?
I don't have any concern. We work regularly with the Bayou Place and our set team trying to control that problem, but it does have its fair share of this.
Great, thank you. So again, I hope that it can be an improvement. Your hotel's going in there. I hope that they will improve the area, and I think there's a lot of potential for that.
Absolutely. The purchaser, he owns half dozen or more hotels from St. George to Idaho, and he's a very good manager. Not only owner manager, so he runs a tight ship. So I can't imagine he would allow anything nefarious to happen in his operation. But, it should be really nice, sharp addition to the city. Yeah, thank you.
I think my experience, these two motels versus the other one attract a different crowd, and I think that'll happen. Wolf, I'm looking at you and Adam. 4 stories, 10 foot per story. We're looking at 40 or 50 foot high building, potentially. What's our potential maybe on that flyover? Any idea?
Off the top of my head, no. I'd have to ask engineering.
Here comes one right now that might know the answer.
Good evening. Those are really good questions. Originally, the bridge, the Meadows Crossing, was master planned to dissect the parcel right in the middle. So when we were approached by the Bennett annexation real estate agent, we had to realign the bridge and make sure that we could preserve the right of way for the future construction of the bridge, that we could have enough clearance for the freeway, and then that we could leave enough buildable area for this project. So you're exactly right. If the buildings are 10 feet in elevation for each floor, it's 40 feet high. Probably with the sewer, we will make it a couple more feet. The bridge with a 5% slope is going to be about 20 feet at the property line with I-15. So the building is going to be exposed 20 feet above the bridge. So we'll have enough clearance. It took a lot of work, but we're getting 50% of the right of way from this annexation and 50% from the Mill Pond apartment. So it's fair in my opinion. And then we leave a parcel that was unbuildable before to attract another project of this magnitude.
I was guessing maybe 25 on the freeway so that the flyover, so the higher trucks and stuff could go under. So that's good. The other comment I'd like to make now that you've said that, it's too bad we don't have some scouts here, but this is a perfect example, I think, of a city working with a landowner and a developer so that everybody wins when it's done. We can still get the flyover, we still get their development, they get what they want, and when people work together and they talk about things in advance and cooperate, this is what happens. And I think it'll be a great addition, and I wish you well.
If you'd come to the mic, yeah, and just introduce your, say your name and.
Yeah, my name is Joe Scogel, and I represent Mrs. Bennett. And in talking to Mrs. Bennett before coming here this evening, she made sure that I wanted to tell you that she is praying for the mayor, and she's been a lifelong resident here, and as her agent, and she's donating some of this land herself. Plus the developers are donating some of the land to the city. I would like to ask the city to write a letter to her and thank her for that donation. And the being is that she donated the land over there too, on where that road is, and she never heard anything from anybody. Okay. And if I could put that as a request, I would appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Yeah. Dr. Damascus, will you let the mayor know of that? And when he gets back in the office. Thank you, sir. And if we could say this, if you would just thank her for us as well in return. I mean, from the council. She'll get something from the mayor. So thank you for those comments. Let's move on to a motion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the Benex annexation agreement? Councilman Barnes.
Aye.
Councilman Bowen.
Aye.
Councilman Shelton.
Aye.
Councilman Shorter.
Aye.
Councilman Frost is an aye. Moving along. Action item number 4, review and action on subdivisions, commercial projects, condominiums, and PUDs, including 1, plat approval, 2, method of satisfaction of water right requirements, 3, posting of an improvement bond or setting of a time frame for improvement installations, and 4, authorization to sign the final plat and accept of all dedications to the public and to have the plat recorded. We have one item on our agenda tonight. That is review and action on an ordinance approving an amended commercial site plan for Highland Gardens located at 1700 North, 900 East in the GC2 planned commercial zone.
I'd move to adopt the ordinance approving amended commercial site plan for Highland Gardens located at 1700 North, 900 East in the GC2 planned commercial zone, with instructions to the city recorder to withhold publication of the ordinance subject to all conditions identified in the public record associated with the October 19th, 2016 Planning Commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Thank you for that motion, Councilman Shorter, seconded by Councilman Bowen. We'll now have a roll call vote, or any discussion on the item. Okay, Councilman Barnes.
Aye.
Councilman Bowen.
Yes.
Councilman Shelton.
Aye.
Councilman Shorter.
Aye.
Councilman Frost is an aye. Okay. Our fifth and final part of our agenda tonight is review and action on the approval of a contract with Emergency Services Consulting International for the fire station location study. I'll have Chief Garcia come forward and just give us a little background information on this.
As we look forward to meeting the growth with the increased fire protection throughout the city, also to decrease our response times down to our goals, it looks like we're going to need additional stations. Last year we approved, I think it was $150,000 to look at a new station, and this is the first step in that. It's to have a company come in and review what it is we do currently and see if that's the best way to do it, and then also look to where we would need to relocate for our next stations in the future. We had 3 companies bid this. They were all within a few $1,000s of each other except for this company, and this company is the only one that did what we asked them to do in the proposal, which was estimate how much time it would take American Fork staff to participate in this study and what the cost would be if we decreased our staff hours, because we just wouldn't have the time to put somebody else to get the data that they're going to need. And this is the company that did that. Looked through their references and the rest of their presentations, and it was a tie for the most part between this one and another company. But then again, this one did do what we asked them to do and break it out into how much time it was going to take us to work with them. So we would. This is a good company. They'll look forward to looking up in the next several years into how we grow.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Chief Garcia?
Not for the chief, just a comment. I didn't see in the packet the actual, the other bids. Maybe I just overlooked it, but when I was reading through, I didn't notice that. So it's just for the future, it would be helpful to have all the bids and maybe even the original, RFP. That's it.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the award the contract of the fire station relocation study to Emergency Service Consulting International.
Thank you, Councilman Shelton, for that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Shorter. We will have any discussion on the motion? All right. We'll have a roll call vote. Councilman Barnes.
Aye.
Councilman Bowen.
Abstain.
Councilman Shelton.
Aye.
Councilman Shorter.
Aye.
Councilman Frost is aye. Okay, last item on the agenda of adjournment. I will just say all in favor. Say aye.
Gotta make a motion.
Oh,
I'll
excuse
make
me.
a motion to adjourn.
Excuse me. Councilman Shelton made the motion to adjourn. He's going to have a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Bowen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And you can get home to your televisions or whatever. So.